Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Riverside County Board of Supervisors meeting for Tuesday, October 3rd. Again, we'd like to welcome you here today. First is to call the meeting to order. We've done that. We have a full board here today, so there's no need for a roll call. We're going to ask Karen Barton to please come forward for the clerk of the board's office to give us the invocation. If everyone would please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Supervisor Jeffries.
Okay. Good morning, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen. Let us pray. Lord, we ask for strength and comfort in these difficult times. We pray for those affected by the tragic event in Las Vegas and for those affected by all the recent natural disasters occurring throughout the country. We ask that you bring peace to all who have suffered. We also look to you for guidance and ask that in the midst of all this tragedy, we find a way to unite and reach a common ground. Help us overcome our anger and intolerance so that we may embrace our differences and find our humanity to work together for a better future. Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. Ready, begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If I could ask my colleagues to please join me up front for just one presentation this morning. Jill Easton, hi. Come on up here, please. Come on up, Stan. Michelle. Sunday. Very nice to see you. Don't you work for... Right here? So today we're going to proclaim and recognize and honor Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And as you know, it's a disease that affects so many women and men throughout the United States each year. And so we are going to honor October as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I'll start with the first whereas. It says, whereas October is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Breast cancer is the most common cancer diagnosed in women in the United States, next to skin cancer, and it's the second leading cause of cancer related to death in women. And
whereas Susan G. Komen is committed to saving lives by meeting the most critical needs in our communities and investing in breakthrough research, prevent and cure breast cancer. And whereas Susan G. Komen Inland Empire hosts the Susan G. Komen Inland Empire Race for the Cure, one of the largest 5K events dedicated to breast health in Riverside County. The event raises awareness and funds to end breast cancer, uniting more than 3,000 community members with a shared determination in the fight against breast cancer.
And whereas since 1999, more than $6.4 million has been invested in Riverside and San Bernardino counties towards education, screenings, treatment, patient navigation, and support programs. In addition, more than $2.4 million has been invested in breakthrough research to find cures. And
whereas Susan G. Komen Inland Empire is celebrating its 19th anniversary by holding its annual Susan G. Komen Inland Empire Race for the Cure on Sunday, October 8th, 2017 at Town Square Park in Murrieta, California. And
Now, therefore, be it resolved, determined, and ordered that the Riverside County Board of Supervisors on this third day of October 2017 does hereby proclaim October 2017 as National Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the County of Riverside. We thank Susan G. Komen Inland Empire for all their efforts they have done to raise both awareness and funds to end the fight with breast cancer. You want to hand it over?
Like I said, if you would.
I would, thank you.
I'll hold this.
Okay.
I'll put it right here so you
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank all of you, Board of Supervisors, for your time and attention to National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It is through your guys' efforts that we're able to do the work that we're doing in the county. Especially Chuck Washington, thank you so much for your time and everything that you've done for our organization. We can't do it without you. So this weekend, October the 8th, Susan G. Komen Inland Empire will be hosting its 19th annual Race for the Cure. We expect about 3,000 people to be out there, and we're still looking for volunteers and race participants, and we certainly hope that you will be able to go ahead and join us in the city of Murrieta at Town Square Park. In addition to that, we're going to be turning the city of Murrieta pink this evening at City Hall, and we would love to have all of you come down there and join us in this wonderful opportunity in recognizing and honoring those that are in this fight for breast cancer and also those that have lost their battle in this journey. So once again, thank you so much, and we appreciate the support and recognizing Susan G. Komen for what we've done in this community.
You never see him? Stan Morrison, yes, Jeffrey's good to see you.
Thanks, my friend. It was very nice. Which floor do you want?
In the basement. Sorry.
We're worried about it. This is a problem. You're also standing over here.
Okay. Before we go into our board comments, let's just say that I don't think there's any doubt that yesterday was a pretty horrible day, once again, for our nation, as we saw just an extreme act of I don't even want to call it terror. Let's just call it meanness, if you will, and sickness on the part of an individual that felt no care for life. And if you've ever been to a country music concert is just full of fun, joy, excitement, and life. And an individual, unfortunately, decided to take life. I know one of the individuals who I'll mention today is a friend of mine. His father and the son who passed yesterday was killed. I'll mention his name shortly. And it's just very, very difficult to deal with this over and over again, but that's just the sign of the times, unfortunately. And so I would like to not quickly, but just for a moment, have a moment of silence for those that were killed and those that are still seriously injured in Las Vegas and their families. So if you could please bow your heads. Okay, thank you very, very much. And I'll start with Supervisor Ashley.
Okay, we're on to presentations now. Any comments? Okay, I'll get this thing. Nope, that's later. That's coming up. I'm trying to get the clicker to working here. Well, I guess it doesn't work. Okay, well, here we go. Okay, on Tuesday, September 26th, staff attended the Pyology grand opening and ribbon cutting in the city of Moreno Valley. We offer our congratulations, look forward to the family-friendly business in the community. Also on Thursday the 28th, the 2017 Calimesa State of the City was held. It's well attended, and their presentation showcased many successful projects, such as the installation of a new Tractor Supply and Dollar Tree store. We wish you the best, Calimesa, the best for their growing city. And on Saturday, September 30th, Chief of Staff Jaime Hurtado and I conducted the ribbon cutting ceremonies for opening the 104th Annual Southern California Fair held at the Paris Fairgrounds. This year's theme is Country Roots and Country Boots. As you see, some of the directors are outfitted there. The fair will run through October 8th, so if you get a chance, go visit the fair so you won't be disappointed. I've been going to that fair for 70 years, ever since they changed the name, from the Turkey Festival, to it was the Riverside County Fair, now it's Southern California Fair. It's always an interesting place to go. So I wish them and they're getting great weather this year. Normally hit some bad weather during their 10 days. The weather is good all the way through. They should do really well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor Ashley. Supervisor Perez.
Let me just get this going here. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, as you recall, over the summer, Riverside County was awarded a grant in the amount of $800,000 from the California Department of Housing and Community Development. Riverside County Economic Development Agency, Housing Authority, and TLMA were instrumental to getting this significant award from the state's Housing-Related Parks Program. Over the last 3 years, the Desert Recreation District has been working diligently with the community of North Shore to plan a 5-acre community park. This grant has a very positive effect for the community of North Shore and is going to help Desert Recreation District fill the gaps to make this park project possible. This Friday, October 6th at 6 p.m., we will be celebrating the groundbreaking of this park. We're proud of our partnership and major supportive role in this project and look forward to a great place where families can come and take their children to play soccer, ride their skateboard, hang out with friends, or perhaps even sit under a tree. Long overdue. We are approaching 1 year since 2 Palm Springs police officers were killed in the line of duty. During the afternoon of Saturday, October 8, 2016, Officer Leslie Zerebny and her training officer, Officer Jose Gil Vega, responded to a call of a family disturbance. They were the first officers to arrive at the scene, and as they began their investigation, they were ambushed by multiple gunshots that struck them and a third officer. Officers Vega, 63, and Zerebny, 27, died a short time later. Officer Vega was born in Texas and as a child moved with his migrant farm worker parents and siblings to California, where he grew up in the Fred Young labor camp in Indio. Vega was a father of 8 and had planned to retire in December of 2016 after a 35-year career with the department. He wasn't scheduled to work the day he died, but he volunteered to fill the shift. Officer Zerebny was born and raised in Hemet, the daughter of a California Highway Patrol officer. She married Zach Zerebny, a Riverside County Sheriff's deputy, and became a Palm Springs police officer in January of 2015. She had been an officer for a year and a half. She had just returned from maternity leave after giving birth to her daughter, Cora, who was now a little over a year. I just remember being shocked that day, and I was moved by the sight of police officers and fire engines lining many overpasses along Interstate 10 as there was a procession to the coroner's office that night. The merger of these two officers, great individuals who were called to protect the citizens and community, was an enormous and devastating loss felt by our community, state, and nation. Thousands of representatives of law enforcement agencies from all over the country came to pay respects at the memorial service. It was held October 18th at the Palm Springs Convention Center. ACR 2, authored by Assemblymember Chad Mays, designated a 4-mile segment of Highway 111 to be known as the Police Officer Jose Gil Vega and Police Officer Leslie Zerebny Memorial Highway. This Sunday, October 8th, 1 year since this tragedy, Palm Springs is holding 2 events in remembrance of the fallen Palm Springs police officers. At 8:30 a.m., the roadway into Palm Springs will be named for the 2 officers at a dedication ceremony at the Palm Springs Visitor Center. At 10 a.m., there is a memorial ceremony at the Palm Springs Police Department. Palm Springs Police Department will honor both Officer Vega and Zerebny by adding their names to the Palm Springs Police Officers Memorial Statue in front of the station. I just wanted to add as well, as you're aware, last month, the federal government took action to begin rescinding the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, otherwise known as the DACA program, giving Congress a 6-month period to come up with a solution. The decision to wind down DACA will affect nearly 800,000 young people who came to this country as minors. I have met many young people who are DACA recipients who are great students, and I want to ensure that they are protected. Many of these individuals have given back to our community and our country. In 2013, the Board of Supervisors unanimously adopted a resolution in support of a comprehensive immigration reform. While we're still in need of a rational and functioning immigration system, this is a historic opportunity for Congress to work together and offer a long-term resolution to one of the more complicated aspects of immigration: the status of those who came to this country before adulthood. President Trump has been open to working something out via legislative solution. There are proposals in Congress that reflect an effort to reach a reasonable compromise that would enable a pathway to naturalization. The legislative process involves negotiation and give and take that emerges into a final bill that can get through both chambers. I am hopeful for a bipartisan consensus that helps these young people, and also our economy, our school systems, and colleges and universities. In coming weeks, I will bring forth a resolution in support of a bipartisan DACA framework that I hope we can take to our federal representatives to show our support. And I appreciate your indulgence, members. Those are my reports.
Thank you, Supervisor Perez. Any other comments by members of the board? Opening comments? Okay. Memorial adjournments. I'm going to just mention 3 of the members of the 3 county residents. They're not going to be official memorial adjournments as of yet until we get more specific information on them, since the information is still coming in. But 3 individuals that we're aware of. Angie Gomez was one of those killed in the attack in Las Vegas. Angie, it appears she was 19 or 20, a Poly High School graduate in 2015. She was in attendance, very active at Poly High School. She was a good friend. She was a cheerleader, good friend of one of my former employees' daughters, Julie Suika. Lost her life with attended there with friends. A Corona veteran, a young man by the name of Chris Roybal, 28, United States military Army veteran, spent time in Afghanistan, only to come back and get shot by a coward from the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay Hotel. And then Tom Day Jr. is the individual I was mentioning. Died at 54. He and his family, his dad, owned Portrait Homes and Day Construction Company. And if any of you have ever had the opportunity to visit the Dave Family Auto Museum in Corona. Tom and his son and family, Tom especially, Tom Sr., they collect classic cars, and he has over 150 classic cars and opens them up to charity. And Tom Jr., his dad, just like his dad, just full of life, and unfortunately lost his life way too early at the age of 54. And we'll come back with more information on them as time goes by and we gather more information. And also, I don't have this specific, but we've lost 3 members, family members of our clerk's office recently. As I mentioned last week, Lisa Barton lost her father. Justin, I think, was it Justin that lost his grandmother, and then Lisa Wagner just lost her father-in-law last week, and I'll get more information so we can adjourn in his memory next week. Supervisor Perez.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Over the weekend, we lost a longtime resident of the Coachella Valley, Mr. Monty Hall, game show host and philanthropist. He was 96 years old. Monty was best known as the host of Let's Make a Deal, which ran from 1963 to 1986. But he's also remembered for making people happy through his philanthropic activities. Monty resided in Cathedral City, where a street, Monty Hall Drive, is named in his honor. He actively supported local charities throughout the Coachella Valley, such as the Variety of the Desert. This past November, he worked on the annual Variety Care for Kids Radiothon. He played in many local celebrity tennis and golf tournaments, benefiting United Cerebral Palsy and the Inland Empire and Arthritis Foundation of the Coachella Valley. He attended many film festival galas and for the Palm Springs International Film Festival. Throughout his lifetime, Monty hosted thousands of charity events, including 65 telethons. He was credited with raising more than $1 billion for charity. We're proud of Monty Hall, that he was part of the Coachella Valley community since the 1960s, and he will be dearly missed. Also note the passing of Marie D. Calloway. Mary passed away at age 81. Mary was born in Corpus Christi, Texas. She moved to the Coachella Valley in the 1950s with her family. In 1970, she married William Russell Calloway Sr. and was married for 30 years before his passing. Mary worked at the Bees department store in Indio and later retired to devote herself to raising her 3 children, San Juanita, Sophia Helen Ruth, and William Russell Jr. 2 of her children, San Juanita Calloway and Helen Ruth Calloway, currently serve on the Cabazon Tribal Council for the Cabazon Band of Mission Indians. In addition to her children, Mary is survived by 3 grandchildren, numerous nieces, nephews, cousins, and friends. I ask my colleagues to join me as I move to adjourn in the memory of these individuals. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Supervisor Perez. I did fail to mention.
You have 3. We have 3.
Oh, okay. Supervisor Ashley. I didn't have your name up here.
Yeah, and first is Edith Maslow of Paris, 89 years old. She's preceding death by her husband when they were married 68 years. She leaves behind, this is unbelievable, 16 grandchildren, 21 great-grandchildren, 3 great-great-grandchildren. And she's a very loved person, going to be missed by all. Next, in Cherry Valley, Richard D. Reilly. He's the husband of Patsy Reilly, who we see from time to time and may see this afternoon. Richard D. Reilly was born in Illinois and later moved to California. He married his wife Patsy for an incredible 70 years, passed away at the age of 88, devoted 33 years to his job at Boeing before retiring. His hobbies were gardening at home. He had an incredible sense of humor and would be greatly missed. And finally, Tom Petty, a songwriter who melded California rock with a deep, stubborn Southern heritage, died on Monday after suffering cardiac arrest. He was 66. He lived in Malibu, area of Los Angeles. Recording with the Heartbreakers, the band he formed in the 70s in his own. He wrote pithy, hard-headed songs that gave a contemporary clarity to 1960 roots. His voice was grainy and unpretty, with a Florida drawl that he proudly displayed. Mr. Petty's songs were staples of FM rock radio through decades, with hits like Refugee, Don't Come Around Here No More, Free Falling, Into the Great Wide Open. He sold millions of albums, headlined arenas and festivals well into 2017, played the Super Bowl halftime show in 2008, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 2002. His songs stayed down-to-earth with sturdy guitar riffs carrying lyrics that spoke for underdogs and ornery outcasts. In his 1989 hit, I Won't Back Down, he sang, "You can stand me at the gates of hell, but I won't back down." And I think we'd like to play a little Tom Petty right now. I think we need a little music. And it sort of implements why we're facing a lot of diversity in various ways. And I think this is a good song, theme song for our board as well. So please roll Tom Petty.
Thank you, Supervisor. Quite a musical icon.
We're done. We've had enough.
Can't imagine what that hears
I'd
like
like to hear some more of it.
with hearing aids on.
We should.
I think what's so sad about Tom Petty's passing, he was just done an interview. He was about ready to finish his international concert, last tour ever. He was getting ready to retire, and his comments, "Why are you retiring?" to a reporter. I want to stop and spend time with my grandchild, and that shows you life's too short. For those of us that get up to a certain age, that's the time to slow down and spend time with your grandchildren. So our thoughts and prayers go out to all those that who have lost their family members, and we Supervisor Jeffers, did you still have one to add?
Just wondering if we were going to do Hugh Hefner and have any Playboy bunnies come by?
No.
Any volunteers? Rob, Brian, either one of you want to don a suit?
I'm not into that role now.
I don't know how to stop. I don't know how to go. I don't know how to end that one. All right, we do have a motion for the memorial adjournments. Please vote. All right, motion is unanimous. Thank you. Before we go into the executive officer's report, I want to just very quickly, even though I gave her a hard time about this via email, when I said, Tina who? Well, this is Tina Grande. Tina Grande, who has been a long-time employee here, started with, did you start with Jim? Yeah. Well, that's right, you were a bartender. I understand, a very cute bartender. Still very cute. Your husband did well. Your husband loved she was, Tina, actually, you did better, Tina. Tina was just promoted to Assistant Director of Purchasing and Fleet Services. Started with Supervisor Venable as a legislative assistant, worked her way up to the executive office as an analyst, and has just done a great job. Very proud of you, Tina. And make sure Rob lets you keep every bit of money that you earn. Okay? Congratulations. All right. That now takes us to the executive officer's report.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Kind of tough to follow those comments, but I do want to make a few remarks. The chairman did mention the tragic event in Las Vegas, and that combined with the recent hurricane activity we've seen and the devastation that occurs from natural disasters just reminds us of the importance of county government being prepared and ready to respond and recover from those types of events. And so I'm going to ask Jeff Van Wagenen to reconvene our safety and security task force that we started back when we had the terrorist shooting 2 years ago in San Bernardino County. Get that group back together, comprised of the public safety departments, our UHS departments, and put together a presentation that we can share with the board on our readiness efforts. We can never be ready enough, but I think we've done a lot, especially with the formation of our new emergency management department under Kim's leadership. Done a great job in making sure the county is more prepared than we've ever been in the past, but there's still a lot to do. So I know Jeff can bring that team together and get us to where we need to be as a county. And then the other thing I want to mention is this board has been very supportive in our efforts to bring high-speed internet service to all residents and businesses across Riverside County. We sent out a request for interest and participation, and that solicitation was closed last week. And so we will be going through those submittals. I think we got about 10 submittals from the private sector who've expressed some level of interest in partnering with us as a county to bring that high-speed broadband internet service. So I expect that we will be evaluating those submittals over the next several months and then reporting back to the board sometime after the first of the year on those efforts. So thank you.
Thank you, George. One thing for Jeff, and just in listening to the CNN this morning on the way up, they were interviewing a trauma surgeon from Las Vegas in the Level 1 trauma center there. Said one of the big issues that they were just couldn't address yesterday was room for the families and the triage of all the patients that were coming in, and that's something to look at. Granted, we're expanding our emergency room. We're a trauma 2, but hopefully becoming a trauma 1 in the next couple of years. So obviously that's a big concern.
So we have the...
I see Bill in front of you, and I know we had a sheriff's deputy that is critically injured, Bill. I hope he's doing well. Are they doing well? Oh, good. And probation as well. Wow. No. Okay. Well. All right.
Yeah. One thing, we have the health building there at the hospital, and we have that area, that could be opened up to families real easily.
Yeah.
You know, so they get something out of your plan to use that, the meeting, that little conference area there could accommodate a lot of families.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Now, I don't suppose there's anything in the state budget, Brian. Okay, thank you. All right, then we'll go to the clerk of the board. Madam Clerk, any corrections, deletions, additions to our agenda?
Under additions, none. Under deletions, none. Under corrections, none. Under notations, item 3.22 requires a separate vote.
Okay. Thank you, Kim. All right, colleagues, do we have any speakers on any of these items, Kim?
No, we do not.
Okay. I'll move the admin action calendar 1-1 through 1-3, unless there are any board members that wish to pull any of those items. Okay, seeing none, please vote. Motion is unanimous. Takes us to the consent calendar, 2-1 through 2-6. Anyone wishing to pull? Seeing none, please vote. Motion is unanimous. Taking us to our consent calendar, we do need to vote separately on 3.22. I'd also like to pull 3.6 myself, and also 3.20 for a report by Juan and Patty. Any other members wishing to speak or to pull items?
Yes. Just 3.7 for a quick comment. And then also 3.16, 17 for a comment.
16 and 17?
16 and 17, they're related. And that's it.
Okay, any others?
Move their balance.
Okay. And this will exclude 3.22. We'll take that separately. Okay, I'll move motion is unanimous on those. I'll move item 3.22.
Okay.
Oh, you have a question on 3.22?
Okay,
let's take a question.
Take it in regular order.
We have a question on that also, Matt?
No, just, no, I don't have anything on 3.22.
Well, first, wait, let's go 3.6 first. 1.
Okay.
Morning.
Romar, Transportation Director. We're very pleased to be here this morning, and we're actually going to talk about another item in a minute as well. But this item before you has to do with alignment at I-15 interchange. It's a project that has been in the books for quite a number of years. We have been working on getting it shelf ready. It's critically important to the communities of Eastville and Jurupa Valley. And we're very pleased that this last year, through the passage of SB 132, we were able to secure the funding needed to put that project over the top to the tune of $48 million. Patty has an exhibit there, just as a refresher also for the board. Want to highlight, because there are a number of projects that Riverside County is directly benefiting from as a result of SB 132. The 91 toll connector to I-15 to the north, matching funds for the Hamner Bridge, McKinley Grade Separation in Corona. We are working with the City of Jurupa Valley to deliver the Jurupa Avenue Railroad Grade Separation, and again, this project here before you. So this action today just sets the stage for resolutions of necessity should they be needed if we're not able to successfully conclude negotiations with all the property owners. And our goal with this on all of the projects funded in SB 1 and SB 132 is to get them out on the street as quickly as we possibly can.
Great. Thanks so much, Juan.
Just stay there for 3.16, 17. We can do those next.
Do you want to cover 20 at the same time? You want to do 20 after 16, 17? Okay. Let's go on to 16, 17 while we're at it. And
Yeah, because they're right there. And they're, okay, explain this. These are very important. Scott Road, this is sort of getting the Scott Road started. It was totally funded by the city of Menifee, basically, and including pump funds and so forth. Go ahead. This is a badly needed interchange widening.
Right.
Okay, Patsy.
Thank you. Supervisors, Patty Roman, Director of Transportation. This is the last piece that we need, these two agreements for the Scott Road interchange that will allow us to ask for the federal funding that's going to be used on the Scott Road interchange project. We expect to get that project out to bid before the end of the year and get to construction.
Well,
and we've been waiting. We're excited about this one.
We can't wait. We can't wait. Okay, thank you very much. Okay. That's all I just wanted to make.
Supervisor Washington.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On 316, I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention, and I know that staff, Juan, Patty, that you worked hard because that interchange is so pivotal. We're relying on a couple $1 million that was to come from a project, and so we're fronting some of that money without the certainty that the project will get complete. But I think what it shows and demonstrates is that the county is willing to accept a small amount of risk in order to achieve huge gains that will come from the project itself. So hopefully the $2 million will eventually come in to reimburse the county, but it's as Supervisor Ashe has mentioned, it's right on the edge of the 3rd District and the 5th District. Cities of Menifee and Murrieta benefit tremendously. If you've been down there at that interchange, it's impacted greatly, and there are a lot of plans and growth. Kaiser's building a new facility right near there. There's a development on the southern end of Menifee, and the campus of the community college continues to grow. So this
New high school coming.
project is immensely important for that particular region. So just wanted to bring that to light. Thank you.
We can't get this soon enough. And eventually, later on, as there's more projects done, it'll be expanded a couple lanes even further, I understand. But this will really do wonders. And I guess there's one more phase of this that'll be done later on. But this will get it going. Okay, I'll move approval item 3, 7, 16, and 17. Or vote for it, whatever somebody did.
Okay, so you included 3, 6 in that, Supervisor? Okay, good.
Yep.
Motion passes, and that included 16 and 17, correct?
Right, all three.
Okay, good. All three are unanimous. Let's go now
All
to...
three, 3, 6, 3, 6, 3, 16, and 17, I'm sorry. We haven't got to 3, 7.
Let's go back to 3, 7.
Yeah, well, 3, 7 is not a road matter. Thank you very much.
Oh, they're going to talk on 320, so just...
Oh, you going to stay there? Oh, you
Stay
stay there? Let me do 3, okay, go ahead and do 320. I'll go back to
Okay.
3, 7 afterwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the first time in many years, we are able to stand before the board and talk about the funding picture for transportation improving throughout this county and the state as a result of the passage of Senate Bill 1 with this last legislative round. The funding is focused on road rehabilitation and maintenance. As I mentioned, we will be working hard to get these projects delivered as soon as we possibly can. I'm going to have Patty just give a very brief presentation to the board on the big picture of what this means and some of the projects that your constituents will be seeing on the ground soon.
Yeah, this is nice. This is probably this is the first time in a long time where we have a tip with projects and money to be able to deliver projects that have been on the shelf for some time.
Yeah.
So SB1, it was passed by the legislature in 2017, and it included the creation of a road maintenance and rehabilitation program that infused lots of funds that are specifically for road maintenance and pavement rehabilitation. It also provided for the payback of money that was borrowed by the state from the gas tax fund, and it restores a portion of the gas tax that's currently being diverted to pay for state bonds. So it means a lot of money coming to the county for transportation projects. We expect the projections show that we should have $42 million over just the next 2 fiscal years for resurfacing and reconstruction of about 37 miles of road. And these are the bad roads that we've been neglecting for years. We just haven't had the money to resurface and reconstruct. And in addition to that, we'll be doing some pavement preservation, chip seal and slurry seal on about 500 miles of road over the next couple of years. So the good news is, with this in place, we expect that by 2021, the county will be getting $52 million annually for road rehabilitation. So that's great news. We can finally catch up and get rid of that backlog that we've had for years. So the chart you see before you, it does show that there had been a downward trend over the years of gas tax where we've had less of an ability to get out there and do the road maintenance. But with this infusion of funds, there's a dramatic increase. So just wanted to show that, to see the projections that we've got just over the next few years.
Thanks, Patty.
We would be happy to answer any of the questions the board may have. We attached and provided you a list of specific projects really spread out throughout all of Riverside County, Woodcrest, Hemet area, roads that are in dire need of repair out in that area. Out in the 4th District, you'll be seeing several large projects coming forward, really spread out throughout the county. So we're pleased to be able to move forward with this and start bringing those projects to you soon to start going out to bid and awarding contracts. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I see, you're spending quite a bit of money on the Ethernet corridor, between Menifee, Paris, over at Elsinore. You got some money in there. That's good to see that. Keep that moving along.
Oh, you both were.
$1.5 million. And that's just in the 5th District. You have also 1st District monies in there as well, I'm sure. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I know you both. Patty, I didn't see you. I saw one. Were you at Mobility 21? Were you there?
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend. I was tending to my husband, who just had back surgery.
Oh.
Otherwise, I would have been there.
That's okay. There were a lot of people. I saw Juan, and I know Marion was there. When we look at the projects, and Mobility 21 being just not exclusive to Southern California, is it? Is it, Juan?
It's
pretty much.
Southern California.
But you look at all the projects that are coming to, especially Riverside County, from SB1, and it is, a debate as to whether people want to pay that additional gas tax. But when you look back 20 years and the state legislature not being able to pass anything to improve our state highways, basically anything, and they leave it on the local level to pass their own measures in order to get their local streets and roads and freeways improved through their local initiatives. We just can't do it all on our own. So state government made it happen through SB1. Granted, it was done almost single-handedly by one party, not completely, but almost. And then now we're understanding that it's trying to be repealed through taking it to the voters from certain state legislators, but also the pressure is on our federal legislators on the Republican side to put an initiative on to repeal it as well. But yet nothing's happening on the federal level to get anything done back there either. You just look at what's happening there. You can't get much passed at all. Yet we still get by with having to build our own projects with our own local dollars. So good work by all of you in delivering the projects. Let's hope we can, the money that we're putting forward to plan these projects, to get them ready to dig dirt the minute we say go, and they want us to say go within the next 12 months. Let's hope that's not for no effort at all, because that could very easily happen. We know that by our state and federal government playing partisan games, which is very, very unfortunate. All right, I'll move. We have a motion and a second on item 320. Please vote. Motion is unanimous. That takes us back now to item 3.7. Supervisor Ashley.
Okay, this is $1.3 million to build 2 classrooms in the Larry Smith Correctional Facility in Banning, and this is paid for out of the inmates welfare fund. That's when they buy candies and things like that. Apparently, over time, this amounts to a lot of money, and now we got 2 badly needed classrooms without coming out of the general fund. And so give the sheriff credit for knowing where finding the money to build up 2 badly needed classrooms for Smith. So I move approval of 3.7.
Okay. A motion and a second.
Thanks, and thank the inmates, they paid for it.
Motion is unanimous. Now that takes us to item 3.22, a separate vote. I'll move approval of that item. Oh, that's right. Kevin wanted to talk on that.
Yeah,
Kevin.
I just have questions for the executive office more than anybody else. And we're going to spend a significant amount of time spreading this out over, I think, a 7-year or 6-year period. The cost, 6 years. We're going to incur financing costs for doing that. I'm wondering, is there not perhaps some other way we can achieve this? It seems to be, as staff has met with me and shared, an essential upgrade of our system. We are using a antiquated, would be generous system today that our entire county system, our entire county government is going to benefit from this enhancement or replacement and implementation. I mean, we're just spending lots of money in a lot of other areas. It would seem like one of these items that is so essential to good governance going forward could receive a higher priority in funding instead of financing it over a longer period of time. Is there not some other opportunity to find a way to fund this in a more urgent manner? And I ask because we're gonna put it back on all the departments that are impacted by this, and it doesn't identify. At least I was quickly looking which departments are going to have to absorb these costs going forward when it's a countywide benefit. So I'm curious, is there anything that anyone would like to enlighten me on perhaps another way to purchase this? And then I'll have a question about the inventory module that we're not buying.
Well, Supervisor Jeffries, thank you for those comments. First and foremost, you're right. The way we are currently procuring services is very antiquated, it's very manually intensive, and so this new system will automate and make us much more cost-effective and efficient. In addition to the procurement services, this will also provide contract management tools so that we can better manage our numerous contracts we have across the county. This board has seen several times recently where contracts have been exceeded because we don't have the tools in place, and this will provide us the necessary information to be able to better manage those contracts. Specifically as it relates to the financing, the way we try to structure these enhancements or system improvements is those departments who actually utilize purchasing and contract management will pay for the new system on a basically it will be allocated to them based upon the percentage of usage. So however many purchase orders they acquire over an annual period is how we will distribute those costs and allocate those costs. So, for example, if the county wanted to advance fund this, we would have to basically draw on the limited reserves we have, and those departments who are basically not entirely general fund departments wouldn't pay their so-called fair share. And so this gives the ability to spread out the fair share cost to all the departments that benefit.
And I apologize, I'm not trying to be argumentative here, but if they're not general funded, they're ISF, and if they're ISF, they're going to charge everybody back. So either way, we're all going to pay for it.
You're going to pay for it regardless.
So a good example, and I hate to pick on Susan and DPSS, but they're the 800-pound gorilla when it comes to the amount of procurement that they do. And the majority of their funding comes from federal and state dollars. Okay. And so if we can somehow allocate these costs, their fair share, back to those funding streams, it reduces the burden to the general fund.
That makes sense.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Good discussion.
It does if you're DPSS, but not for everybody else. I guess, look, I'm going to support this as it is. I would sure like us to revisit this as we get into the budget next year to see if we're in a position to shorten up the amount of financing and in interest we're going to pay over that time. We also need to look at how much time staff is going to spend over 6 years. There's a lot of charges in RCIT and purchasing staff that we should try and find a way to better manage so we have less cost. And then my last point is the inventory control module that's not a part of this. It's not lost on me that we have very high-dollar consultants telling us how to fix things, and we identify areas that we need to fix, but we can't afford the fix. We can afford the consultants, but not the fix. We need to make sure these are priorities, and when we have a module that will help us in our inventory, and I'm going to go do a tour of the warehouse because I'm concerned we're losing efficiencies in reuse of furniture going forward. But having said that, I really would like to have the department heads come back, IT and purchasing, come back at a later date and let us know if we need to invest in this $100,000 module for inventory control. I think it's important that we make sure that we're getting everything we need to achieve the efficiencies that KPMG has identified.
We completely agree with those remarks, and we will report back to the board with our recommendations. Don Kent and his team are also looking at the variety of financing issuance we currently have in place as a county and are looking at ways to either refinance or restructure some of those deals to help save the county money as well. So I know Don will be putting together a report that we can share with the board in the near future to summarize the good work that he's doing as well.
Great. Thank you.
Supervisor Washington.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to perhaps offer up a couple of different perspectives regarding this issue. We, in the last couple of years, made a transition to utilization of Office 365. I think it was a recognition that if the county's approach to utilizing software and technology that helped create efficiencies, if we made the purchase as a one-time purchase, we were going to have to be doing this every 3-4 years. If we factor in a cost of doing business and pay that as an ongoing use, we are always going to be up to date on the technology that we have available to us. I see this product as something similar to that. We could go out, buy something off the shelf, have someone try to tailor it for us, and in 4 or 5 years, it's going to be out of date, and then we're going to be back right where we started. It seems to me to make more sense to have a smaller cost on an annual basis and continue servicing that and having the users that are benefiting from that absorb the cost of that. But it has a rolling currency, if you will, in that we're going to always be up to date on what we're utilizing and achieving those savings on a regular and routine basis. As far as the efficiencies pointed out by our consultant, the consultant is being paid to identify areas where we can achieve savings. But the consultants don't work for the county, they work for the Board of Supervisors. It is up to the county and the department heads to implement those identified savings. If we don't have the leadership in management that dictates how we go about achieving those savings, then we're not going to see any savings. If we get software that says we can do something more efficiently, but we don't take the steps to do that, then we're not going to achieve those savings. It's a new way of doing business. Out in my community, I talk about the changes in our economy. For example, the changes in manufacturing. People talk about manufacturing jobs going away. They are. But manufacturing itself is growing. It's growing because of innovation. So what I should be helping my constituents achieve is training in utilizing the new innovation for the new economy, not trying to protect jobs that are no longer relevant. And so I think we need to look at running the county like that, like a business. There are new ways to do business, and that's going to result in efficiencies if we make those hard decisions that need to be made of how we transition to a new way to do business. So I think this is the right step. We've identified a number of savings through our consultant, KPMG, a U.S. company, and the savings that they have identified for us far exceed what we're paying them if we implement those savings. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Washington. Supervisor Ashley, did you wish to speak on this? Okay.
Well done.
All right, there are no further speakers. We do have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion is unanimous. That concludes our policy calendar. That now takes us to, we have no business on our 4 through 8 items, so that takes us to our public hearing. Item 9.1, Economic Development Agency, public hearing regarding information of Community Facilities District. There's no need for a report unless there are any speakers in the audience for 9.1 or there are any requests by members of the board.
Okay. If not, Mr. Chairman, I'll move the item.
Okay. Motion or public hearing is closed. Please vote. Motion is unanimous. Thank you. No Housing Authority meeting. We do have the Flood Control Water Conservation District meeting, item 11.1. Please vote. Please vote on 11.1.
Okay, I've got a question on number 12.1.
Okay, the Vaughan Solid Waste Resources District. 12.1, Supervisor Ashley does have a
Yeah,
question.
Hans is here. Oh, here, Hans. Okay. Remember, this is a little question. This approval of the Connect service agreement between the County of Riverside and Big Belly Solar Inc. for 15 big belly, smart belly double stations for a term of 5 years, all districts, 182,000. But just, I read this, and it's amazing. Will you explain the smart technology of this, where the smart comes in and what's going on here? So what a smart belly and a big belly is?
Yes, I'm happy to do that. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. So as you stated, the item recommends a 5-year lease for 15 of these solar-powered compacting receptacles that have both recycling and trash capabilities. What's really exciting about it, because of the compacting ability, it holds 5 times the amount of a regular trash can. So they need to be serviced much less, which is very efficient.
Good.
But specific to your question, they're connected to the internet through cloud-based software. So they will wirelessly send out a signal to any smartphone to the people that service trash cans and let them know when the trash can is full. So it's a very efficient way to handle that. We plan to deploy 10 at the Indio Fairgrounds for the fair and other events there as well. We'll have 3 here at the CAC and 1 at our headquarters and 1 at the Lamb Canyon Landfill at the Marion Ashley Education Center. So we're very excited about that, and it's going to be a really great thing. And I think it really does marry the technology and the efficiency that the board desires. So very excited. I should say real quick, too, I want to a nod to EDA for their cooperation in this effort. They've really been helpful, their custodial division. So their cooperation is much appreciated.
Yeah, I'd like to see, what will I think of next? Here we go, a smart trash can. Trash can. I thank you very much.
Okay.
I move approve. I'll second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion is unanimous. Thank you, Hans. That now takes us to public comment. Madam Clerk, do we have any members of the audience wishing to speak?
We have 4 speakers.
Okay.
Daryl Terrell.
Daryl, Mr. Terrell.
Daryl Terrell.
Daryl Terrell, the man.
My name is Daryl Terrell. I live in Reno Valley. Good morning. Scriptures tells us that there is evil in the world, and terrible things happen for reasons that defy human understanding. In the words of Job, when I looked for light, then came darkness. Once again, our nation mourns in the wake of yet another senseless and horrific massacre of a dozen of innocent people who was having fun and just listened to good music. My heart goes out to the families of those who have been killed, and my prayers goes out to those who've been wounded. I want to express my profound gratitude to all the police and first responders who rushed into harm's way. Their courage and professionalism saved lives and kept the carnage from being even worse. It's that kind of sacrifice that our law enforcement professionals make every single day for all of us. And we can never thank them enough for the men and women who wear the uniform, who put their lives on the line for us every single day. What happened Sunday cannot be fully satisfactorily explained exactly why it triggered the vicious attack on what thoughts lurked in the inner self of that violent man's mind. Bad things happen. That's one thing we do know. But we cannot lose faith. In the scripture, St. Paul says that all of us in this life see through a glass darkly. So we must walk by faith and not by sight. We can't lean on our own wisdom. In the coming hours and days, we will learn about the victims of this tragedy, their names, their faces, and who they were, the joy they brought to the families and to friends, and the differences they made in the world, in their own community. We will draw inspiration from the heroic and selfless acts, a husband who shielded his wife, friends who helped friends, took care of each other, and saved lives in the face of evil. We have to remember that we cannot give in to fear or turn on one another, because we're in this together. We rise and fall together as one community, one people, and one county. May the Lord comfort and heal in these hard days to come, and to the people of Las Vegas. And God bless this country, and God bless the community that we live in. Thank you.
Thank you, Darrell. God bless you. You're a good man. Thank you.
Rob Wilson.
My name is Rob Wilson. I'm an employee of Desert Jet Center. I live in La Quinta. I'd like to tell you about some of the delays that have been imposed upon Desert Jet Center by the EEA and their council, imposed by the EDA, and that their council may not have been completely candid with the board about. On October 6, 2015, the Riverside County Board of Supervisors approved a lease agreement with Desert Jet Center for a parcel of land at Jacqueline Cochran Regional Airport. That date and the requirements listed in the lease are public record. What isn't is that 2 weeks after signing the lease, then airport manager Darrell Shippey informed us that we would not be able to begin construction or even submit plans to plan check until an issue on a competitor's leasehold was resolved. We were told the county didn't have the funds in their budget to address this project, so we would have to provide the engineering, pay for the plan checks, and upon approval, pay for the repair. We were promised that we would be reimbursed at a later date. This was for a swale or a V-gutter that's designed to channel excess rainfall away from a building and direct it toward a storm drain. This item was not found in our lease. It's not part of our leasehold, and it has been in its current position or condition long before Desert Jet was ever a tenant at the airport. The leaseholder for that part of the airport used heavy steel plates to cover the swale, and they were considered adequate and safe and had been used for decades. After 5 submittals to EDA's plan check department, each taking about 30 days to review, we could not get an approval for the swale repair. We had also held up on submitting the plans for our building. Out of frustration, our CEO called a meeting on March 17th, 2016 with Darrell Shippey, who was the manager of the airport, the manager of the leasehold in question, the engineers we contracted with, our contractors, the plan check department manager, and the plan checker for our project. We gathered for about 2 hours, went over the area, and at the end of the meeting, Darrell Shippey decided that the repair was far too expensive, and those steel plates were still adequate and safe for the situation. This delay wasted 5.5 months of our 12-month construction period we were told we had to comply with when the lease was signed. Nowhere in our lease does it mention that Desert Jet was responsible for any design inadequacies on the airport that had been in place and considered safe and acceptable, again, for decades. After that, there was an additional 6-week delay while the EDA resolved an easement issue that was on our leasehold with the local water and separate power utilities. These easements were not disclosed to us.
15 seconds remaining.
Yes, sir. Suffice it to say that because of all those delays, we were not able to complete our project in the 12 months that we were allotted. We asked for an extension. We were given one. It was a 6-month extension.
Okay, thank you. All right, next speaker. Thank you.
Kirsten
Yes.
Rogers.
Okay, before the next speaker, comments by Supervisor Perez.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Just really quick, I'd like to review those comments. If you don't mind handing those comments over to our clerk. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. Morning.
My name is Kirsten Rogers, and I'm here in support of Desert Jet at the Jacqueline Cochran Airport in Thermal. I know you're all aware of what's been going on as he was going over it a few minutes ago. I'm here today to ask you to hear us out, to understand, and to feel compassion and show compassion to us. My husband and I are both employed by Desert Jet. We moved 2,400 miles from Florida to the Valley as newlyweds, leaving our families, our friends, good jobs. We did this because we were and are still passionate about the vision of Desert Jet. passionate about what Desert Jet has already done, is continuously doing, and what Desert Jet will do for many years to come. I was present at one of your board meetings in June. I spent that meeting impressed with how you took time to honor and reward high schoolers making a difference in this county. I was happy to see the respect given to the law enforcement officers that were retiring after many dedicated years. You are men that are for the people and are for this community. One of Desert Jet's values is to help from the heart, and we strive to show that every day. We support many organizations, but to name a few, St. Jude's Children's Hospital, Angel Flight West, Pilots and Pauls, the Girlfriend Factor, and we support single moms throughout the desert to improve their career opportunities. The list goes on, but it's obvious we love to help from the heart. What I ask of you today is to recognize that and to help from the heart yourselves. Help a company that is for the people of this community and of this county, just like you are. We aren't asking for special treatment. We're asking for fair treatment. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Last speaker, Deanna Gutbach.
Morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. My name is Deanna Gabalt, and I am currently employed with Desert Jet, located at the Jacqueline Cochran Airport in Thermal. I've been employed with Desert Jet for over a year now, along with close to 60 other hardworking and dedicated individuals. My first intention coming here today was to share with you about the values of our company and the wonderful people I work with. To implore you to think about all those who will be joining the unemployment line and the many families that will struggle through a layoff if this eviction is successful. But honestly, sirs, I'm sure you're all aware of this and don't lack compassion towards our plight in any way. Rather, I'm here to ask why. Why are we being evicted? Are we being evicted because we did not render payment due? No, rather, we have paid our rent every month as scheduled, on time and in full. Even now, we can just continue to send each payment, even through this dispute. Are we being evicted because we misused the property leased? No, rather we are helping to bring about economic revival to the county of Riverside. In an economically challenged area like eastern Coachella Valley, our company has brought about resources and customers able and willing to do business and leisure there. Lastly, are we being evicted because we breached our contract and made no remedy to cure that breach? No, rather we were given a time frame to have our facility built, but due to county delays beyond our control, our construction was pushed forward to an unreasonable and unrealistic short span of time to finish such a large project. Desert Jet has made every possible attempt to ask for mediation and open dialogue to remedy this delay. A simple extension on our contract for the time lost due to circumstances outside of our control cannot even be considered without such dialogue. As I conclude, gentlemen, I implore you to take considerable care and due diligence to research the facts included in this dispute and to give all of us at Desert Jet the reassurance and peace of mind that this panel has no bias and will make the just and right decision. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, gentlemen, it's, excuse me, we have 10 minutes before our 10:30 public hearing, so let's take a 10-minute break, come back at 10:30, and then we'll re-adjourn to executive session. to our 10:30 public hearings. We're going to take up item 18.1. This is Transportation Land Management Agency public hearing on the approval of general plan amendment, mid-cycle housing element, resolution 2017-211. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Peter Hirsch, consulting planner to TLMA Planning.
Morning.
Before you today for consideration is proposed General Plan Amendment number 1218, which is the mid-cycle housing element update. The housing element was most recently amended in December of last year as the 2013 to 2021 housing element. Because the adoption date of the 2013-2021 housing element did not meet adoption deadlines prescribed by the state housing element law, the state's Department of Housing and Community Development conditioned its compliance determination for the 2013-2021 housing element with state housing element law upon the county undertaking this mid-cycle update to be adopted on or before October 15th, 2017. Because the housing element was essentially current through December 2016, staff worked with HCD to prepare a limited scope update which focused on an evaluation of compliance with the housing element's 8-year action plan, or simply stated, an evaluation of the county's implementation programs to provide for affordable and special needs housing and shelter since the preparation of the 2013-2021 housing element. Additionally, data tables were modified to reflect newer demographics, information provided by the American Community Survey. The modifications proposed for the mid-cycle update were submitted to HCD for review and are shown as track changes in attachments B and C of the September 20th, 2017 Planning Commission staff report packet. Discussion with HCD staff resulted in an additional modification shown as track changes in attachment D to this board submittal. Subsequently, HCD provided a letter indicating that the mid-cycle update complies with state housing element law. The HCD letter is included as attachment C to this board submittal. The complete mid-cycle housing element update with all changes is provided in attachment D to the board submittal packet. On September 20, 2017, the Planning Commission held a public hearing to consider GPA number 1218. On a 5-0 vote, without Planning Commission or public comment, the Planning Commission recommended that the Board of Supervisors find that General Plan Amendment number 1218 is exempt from CEQA compliance pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15061B3, and that the Board of Supervisors tentatively approve General Plan Amendment number 1218 subject to the findings and conclusions contained in the staff report to the Planning Commission and subject to a resolution to be adopted by the Board of Supervisors. In conclusion, we are recommending the Board adopt Resolution number 2017-211, thereby approving GPA number 1218, and that the Board directs staff to incorporate changes to the housing element of the general plan as shown in attachment B to the Board submittal, and further direct that staff remove duplication of the housing element's 8-year action plan from General Plan Appendix K. With Board support for the Planning Commission and staff recommendations, the county will meet the adoption deadline of October 15, 2017, set by HCD for the housing element mid-cycle update. And the staff recommendation, I think I just pushed the right button, is in front of you for review. Lastly, I'm joined today by representatives from the county's Economic Development Agency and from the consulting firm of Michael Baker International, both of whom were instrumental in assisting with the preparation of this mid-cycle update. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Okay, thank you. Did anyone ever tell you look like Mark Garagos? Anybody ever tell you you look like Mark Garagos?
I'm sorry?
You have the same problem I do.
It's,
I know. Anyone ever tell you you look like Mark Garagos?
Yes.
I bet. When you come up here.
And then this weekend, somebody said I look like one of the Disney brothers, the son of Walt Disney.
Yeah,
so,
you do.
Yeah.
Oh, well, what the heck?
But the
wrong with
Garagos
that.
has been several times.
Nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I ask one question, Mr. Chairman?
Well, maybe. Yes,
When
sir.
you're done.
Of
When you're
course.
finished. Okay. Yeah, we've had this slew of these housing laws just to pass by the Assembly and the Senate and signed by the governor. I mean, they're all just going to just change the world, to say. And I hope they do help. But are we going to have to amend our general plan because of those laws?
We are reviewing those. I have reviews of the proposed legislation from a couple of law firms that follow this, and we're going to be working with, I believe, there's going to be a presentation to the board between planning and EDA indicating how the laws will affect our regulatory and policy structure, and we'll be presenting that to you in the near future.
Okay.
And we'll evaluate what that means, what changes we have to do, and hopefully we'll be able to give you a budget estimate on it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments by my colleagues? I see no requests to speak.
We have one speaker,
Oh, we do. Okay, great.
Rebecca Zaragoza.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Rebecca Zaragoza. I am a policy advocate with the Leadership Council for Justice and Accountability. My work is rooted in the advocacy and representation of the unincorporated communities of the Eastern Coachella Valley. Today, I am advocating for the entire Riverside County. The communities we serve deserve strong leadership and sound policy that will address each and every one of their needs, in this case being safe and affordable housing. In a letter submitted to the board from our senior attorney at Leadership Council, we stated the proper procedure to follow with a full and comprehensive update that you are required to do of the housing element. We as advocates, representatives, and members of your jurisdiction expect you to do so. The response we received stated that no policy change would be made and that public input would be limited to that scope. Your decision-making here is inadequate, and moving forward, I hope that you can recognize the severity of the issue at hand and comply by the updating process. This should include public workshops, stakeholder and resident meetings, and releases of draft revisions and environmental reviews. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you very much. Supervisor Perez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and colleagues. You know, I appreciate the comments made by the last speaker. As an individual who lives in the Eastern Coachella Valley and grew up in the Eastern Coachella Valley and has family members throughout the Eastern Coachella Valley, I definitely appreciate where you're coming from. My office is not too far. You can always call me. I've been out there many times and will continue to go out there. And I can appreciate the advocacy work because I'm a true advocate as well, just like yourself. I just want you to know that we're on the same team here. And I know that my colleagues here would agree with me and would wish to, and be willing to continue to work with you all. So, you know, I don't know what the past was like, but know, though, that we're here to serve you. As I mentioned, I'm only a phone call, a text, an email, a couple of miles away from you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor Perez. There are no further requests to speak from the audience or my colleagues. Therefore, I'll close the public hearing and call for the vote. We do have a motion by Supervisor Jeffries. I'll second the motion. Please vote. And motion is unanimous. That continues our morning session. Mr. Counsel.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. With respect to this morning's closed sessions, there will be no reportable action. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Priamus. We'll reconvene at 1:30 for a long afternoon. So we'll see you then.